Good afternoon, everybody. Today I want to talk a little bit about the new field studies database and request system. I'm going to break this video down into a couple of different sections. So if you look in the description down below, you should be able to find quick links to the appropriate section that you're looking for. But I'm basically going to do a quick overview of how the teachers would fill it out, then what it's going to look on the back end for you, and the approval process. And then we'll briefly touch on category 2 and 3 submissions, which are a little bit different than category 1. So let's get started. Right off the bat, you'll notice that we've made the link a lot easier to find. So if you just come to the website and click on Staff and Employment, it's right here under Teaching and Learning. And just hit Field Studies Requests. Got rid of the big banner and have tightened it up a little bit, as well as added a few more sections that I'll touch on in a second. But I'm going to use Glendale today because Chris Turnbull came in and spent about an hour and a half with me yesterday with some really good pieces of advice so that I could look at this with the lens of an administrator. So he provided a lot of guidance and a lot of really good ideas to make it a little bit better. So kudos, Chris. His reward is we're going to spam his inbox like crazy in a bit here. So again, we're going to talk right now about category 1. So teachers are just going to select category 1, choose your departure date. I'm just going to say that it's Monday, and it's just going to be a one-day trip. Here's where the category 2 and 3 are. Again, we'll touch on that a little bit later. Hit next. So this is just kind of all the information that we've always kind of collected. So what is it? We're going to say trip to Bower Ponds. So description is learning about the ecosystem of a pond. So this is a new question, one that Chris really recommended, and that is making sure that we're tying the request to some curricular outcomes. So what particular curricular outcomes are you hoping to achieve by this? So let's just say students will construct knowledge and understandings of concepts of life. I think that's one, but anyways. So they're going to hit next. Now we're going to get into the transportation portion of it. So does your field study require busing? Because Chris pointed out this is a really important step for administrators when they're going to do the approval to balance all the busing that you might have in your building. So if you hit no, it's just going to basically take them almost to the end. Otherwise, it's going to take us to another transportation section, which is just going to say which bus is required. So in this instance, I'm going to assume that they're going to use their school bus, and who's going to drive it. We'll just say that Mr. Turnbull is. It also gives a quick reminder there, I don't know if you saw it on the external bus, just letting them know there could be an additional cost there. This is the other new thing. One way to try to make it a little bit more efficient for teachers is it's going to automatically create the parental consent form. So if they choose no, they don't really need to fill out this information below. They can just move on to the next section. But if they want that parental form created, they click yes and just ask for a few more pieces of information. So I want it back by the 25th. What potential hazards, typical of transportation in a bus. Okay, this is kind of a similar question, but I'm asking it again because this actually goes on the parental consent form, letting them know how the mode of transportation that the student will be taking. So again, we're going to choose school-owned bus, and who will be supervising. I'll just say myself. This just brings us to the very last step, where you're just going to choose your principal's email address. Click on the quick acknowledgement that just says I understand that which category, and I've selected the correct category, and I'm going to hit submit. So what this says is, thank you for completing this form. Your principal will be in touch shortly in regards to this request. Okay, and here we go. So this is what just popped up in my inbox. So this says, good afternoon. The following category 1 trip has been requested. It also has an ID number at the top. We'll talk about that in a second also. But it tells the user just make sure that all the information below is correct. If it's not correct, they can actually click on this link, and that will actually open up the form with all the information they filled in. So if I hit next, it's still going to have all of the stuff I've put in. They can go in and just make a simple change rather than having to resubmit the form. So if they submit it to you and they've put in 35, but you know it's actually going to be like 60, they can just come in and change the number to 60 here, just hit next, 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 next to basically just make the appropriate changes without having to refill out the form. Okay, so nice and easy. So that's what they're going to, that's what the teacher's going to see. So you're also going to get one of these, which is a little bit different. Okay, so the principal's going to get this one, which says the following category 1 field study has been requested. Please follow this link to approve or reject the request. So this link is unique to your school and to you. Okay, so when you click on this link, it's going to open up a spreadsheet specifically for your school where you're going to either approve or reject those field studies. And again, it's super, super simple. But before we go there, I want to just quickly show you the parental consent form. So I just got an email here that just says you've got a parental consent form. I just opened it up. You'll notice that it's just a Google Doc, but everything has been pre-populated. So, and you'll notice that this is exactly the same as the field study form that the district has always used. So you've got Glendale, you've got, here's the date that you need to return it by, and here's all the appropriate information, and then the stuff at the bottom. One really important thing to point out to people is that this bottom medical section only needs to be changed if the current medical information isn't the same since they registered for school. Okay, so let's head back into the email for the administrators and click on that approval link. Okay, so let's quickly look at the approval process now. And again, remember we're talking category 1s. 2s and 3s are a little bit different, but if you look at the very bottom, this is also going to archive all of the field requests that your school gets moving forward. So, you know, if you are a school that often does a category 2, there'll be a historical record here of all of those. And again, it's a little bit different, but they're done inside of Google Docs. So by clicking on this, you would actually just have access to that previous application and could just then take that, copy it, and then just make whatever additional changes you need to. But we're not going to talk 2 and 3 right now. Let's just focus on category 1. So you can see that a number of them have come in here, and they all have little case numbers beside them. And that case number came from the actual request. So inside of the email, I've got this little ID number at the top, and that's just so that, you know, I'm envisioning that when this comes in, you're going to just quickly glance over this and go, yeah, this sounds like a really worthwhile trip. I'm going to approve that. So this is just number 14. So without having to look at all the rest of the stuff, you're literally just going to come over beside number 14, click on the drop down, and if you want to approve it, you're going to say yes. Okay, and what's going to happen is when you click on yes, it's going to automatically generate an email to the teacher who filled out the form saying, yes, this has been approved. You know, we hope you find this trip, you know, educational, enjoyable, and then you can customize it however you want. So you just need to let me know. And, you know, like Chris, for example, in his says, please contact Paula to make sure that the busing is arranged appropriately or whatever else. But yours could, and I've also put all of your guys' names in there, so it's totally personalized. But let me know if there's something additionally that you would like to put in there. So clicking yes is going to say, absolutely, this is good to go, 100% this is being approved. If you click no, it's going to generate an email to that user that says, please come and see me about this field study. So it doesn't say this has been rejected, it just says come and see me. So maybe you've got an issue with, you know, one of the details, or, you know, it's a conflict, or it's just poor timing or whatever else. It's not going to generate an email saying no, it's just going to say generate come and see me about this. Okay, and so I'm going to click the yes, and this fires on the hour, so it's not going to fire right away. But what I'll do is I'll pause the video right now and then come back to it once that email has been generated, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so as you can tell, I've now received that approval. So again, just says that the field study request, there's that number, here's what the actual trip is, and then approved. And here's the thing is, you guys can let me know what you want this to read. Okay, so we can customize this specifically for you in your school, but in this particular instance, Chris wants Paula in the loop to coordinate all the busing, so it just says your field study request has been approved. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Please contact Paula to coordinate busing Chris. And that's basically it. So again, if you put the no in there, then it's just going to say, please come see me about this. You put the yes in, it's going to automatically generate this. It runs on the hour, so it's not going to happen immediately, but they're going to get that response right away. So I think that's it for the category ones. Really quickly showed you how teachers can fill it out. We've included that parent consent form that automatically gets generated, and then also showed you guys really quickly how to approve or reject field studies. And don't forget, if you see something that's wrong and you want it to be changed, even a date, they don't have to resubmit the form. They just need to go back into that link they received, click on it, and just change the information that's inside of there to the correct information, and then everything's good. So I think that's it. Now let's quickly jump over to Category 2 and Category 3 approvals. Okay, so let's talk Category 2 and 3 because they're handled a little bit differently than the Category 1. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is whoever the leader of your trip is, the first thing they're going to do is come to the field studies form, come to the bottom, and then download one of the two templates, whether it's Category 2 or Category 3. When you click on the Category 2 template, it's going to force you to create a copy, which makes you the owner of that document. And then basically the user just needs to fill out all of the appropriate fields. So in this instance, you would put the school name in here. So let's say Glendale, current date is August 25th, 2017. You're going to put all your information in here. At the very bottom, you'll also notice there's a footer, so we're going to, again, just put Glendale, and then the organizers will say are Chris Turnbull, and our newest administrator, Jeff Plackner. The footer should apply to all of it, and so it's just a matter of getting this document filled out. Now the last thing that users are going to have to do before you submit this, is to change the sharing permissions. Okay, so basically if you just click on the advanced and under private go to change, you want to set this to anyone at Red Deer Public Schools with a link can view. And that just means that when you share it with Cindy Ramsfield, that both her, Stu, and then all of the board members will have access without you having to add each of them individually. So there's also going to be a reminder step of that in the form. So once that's done, you're going to come back to the form, and just like we've done before, you're going to choose the school, you're going to choose Category 2, you're going to choose the trip, the departure date, and the return date. You're simply just going to hit next. Then it's going to tell you to upload the field study document. So you're going to come back to this document, you're just going to grab the address from the address bar, and you're just going to paste that in, hit next. Now here's the reminder. It's going to say just make sure that you've set it to anyone at Red Deer Public Schools with the link can view. Have you changed it? Yes, I have. Click next. Choose your principal, and then hit the acknowledgement. Okay, so now we're going to go into the email to see what both the applicant and the principal are going to receive, because this is a little bit different than the Category 1. Okay, so as you can see, we've now received, this is the response that the applicant has sent. So it basically just says that the trip has been requested, confirm all the information in the attached link is accurate. If any changes need to be made, just make them in the document itself. You don't need to re-upload the document, and you don't need to resubmit the application. Okay, so this is again what the user is going to see. So let's take a quick look at what the principal is going to receive. Okay, so here we are. This is again the email that the administrator is going to receive. Basically just says here's the Category 2 field study that has been requested by one of your staff members. Here's the big difference. You're not going to approve this application inside of that approved spreadsheet. Instead, again, we have less than 10 of these district-wide in a year. So you're just going to review the application, and if you approve of it, you're just going to forward this email with your approval to Cindy Ramsfield, right? So you would just hit forward, you would just go Cindy Ramsfield, and then you would just literally type in approved, and then Cindy would then pass that on to Stu and or the board for final approval. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a shout, but I think this should really make the process of applying for and then approving field studies that much more efficient and easy to use, I guess. So that's it. Have a great day, everyone.